Hello, everyone, and welcome into Fridays with Phil. I'm Phil Mayo, and I'd like to share with you 5 minutes of biblical insight to help you along the way. If you enjoy the content, please be sure to subscribe. Revelation surprisingly never quotes the Old Testament. There are, however, a number of paraphrases and allusions to a variety of Old Testament books and images. The messages to Smyrna and Thyatira both mention prominent Old Testament characters from Israel's sordid past: Balaam, Balak, and Jezebel. There are several things worth noting about these references that speak to the challenge that faces the church both then and now. The story of Balak and Balaam, found in Numbers 22 to 24, is about the Moabite king Balak, who hired a well-known diviner, Balaam, to put a curse on the Israelites so he might have success defeating them in battle. The Israelites had just arrived from Egypt on the border of the Promised Land, and Balak feared for the safety of his kingdom. 3 times, Balaam was taken to places that overlooked the Israelite camp to curse them, but God would only allow Balaam to bless them. Sadly, the story ends with the Moabites enticing Israel to sin by inviting them to their idolatrous love feasts. Israel's disobedience angered God and caused a plague to break out, which was stopped by the priest Phinehas's decisive action. Balaam's reputation of masterminding the plot behind Israel's idolatry reverberates throughout Jewish history. The story of Jezebel has similar overtones. Ahab, the most evil king in Israel's history, married Jezebel, who promoted Baal worship in Israel. Her reputation matches that of her husband's, whom she encouraged in all kinds of evil. She is the one who threatened the prophet Elijah after his confrontation with the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel. She died an ignoble death at the hands of Jehu, whom God commissioned to destroy Ahab's family. Both these stories highlight individuals who led God's people into idolatry. Idol worship was a prevalent part of daily life in the Roman Empire. There were gods of the hearth and home, as well as temples and images scattered throughout. Everything people did involved worshiping the gods. There were periodic festivals celebrating the gods. Even the emperor himself was worshipped. Some of this worship involved sexual activity. Most meat eaten or sold in the marketplace had first been offered to an idol, where worshippers participated in a sacrificial meal. This is why Paul, and even the Jerusalem church in Acts, forbade participation in temple worship and meals. For Paul, it was incongruous to eat at the Lord's table and the table of devils. All of this religious activity posed great difficulty for Christians. Everywhere they turned, there were images of these gods. In fact, Christians were called atheists because they refused to worship these idols and worshiped a God who had no image at all. Christian craftsmen faced economic deprivation because membership in the local craftsmen's guild involved pagan worship. All of this pressure likely resulted in compromise for some Christians. This may be the accusation being leveled against some in Pergamum and Thyatira, who are promoting the eating of food sacrificed to idols and sexual immorality. The temptation to accommodate cultural demands is a problem that has faced the church for millennia. Acceptance and the desire to avoid persecution colors our theology and compromises our relationship with Christ. In Revelation, those promoting such compromise are warned of dire consequences. Finally, the use of these Old Testament stories in Revelation gives us an interesting perspective on the church as the people of God. John, who himself is a Jew, seems to understand that God's people are now defined not by ethnicity, but by allegiance to Jesus. Thus, the first century Christians, whether Jew or Gentile, share continuity with Israel's past. The church is now Israel open to the nations. We will see this idea expressed in a variety of ways as we walk through the book of Revelation. Next week, we'll consider the expression synagogue of Satan, found in the messages to Smyrna and Philadelphia. What could this expression mean, and does it have the anti-Jewish overtones it might suggest? Won't you join me? Thank you, and God bless you.